Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Meet the Candidates Forum for the Office of Commission of Accounts for the City of Saratoga Springs. There are two candidates on the ballot. Both candidates were invited and both accepted to participate tonight. This event was organized by the League of Women Voters of Saratoga County. It will be recorded and posted on the League's website. The league rules require that if a candidate forum is recorded, it must be broadcast or rebroadcast in its entirety. My name is Nancy Tudor. I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Schenectady County. I do live in the town of Clifton Park, and I will be your moderator for tonight. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan volunteer political organization dedicated to the informed and responsible participation of citizens in the government. The League never supports or opposes any political party or candidate. That has been the League policy since 1920. Membership is open to anyone over the age of 16 years or older, so please consider joining your local league. We have received questions from the public in advance. These were reviewed by the league members and selected to be representative and to avoid redundancy. Questions of a personal nature are never included. None of the candidates have seen the questions before tonight. Candidates, this is your opportunity to let voters know what your stances are on topics and how you will address the issues facing this community. Please do not waste valuable time tearing down or labeling your opponent. Deal with the facts. In your closing statements, absolutely no zingers or gotcha moments. Please do not put your opponent on the spot with no chance to reply. We do have a timer tonight for this event, who will be seen by the candidates only. The timer will hold up signs for candidates to glance at to let them know how much time is left for their question. Green means you'll have 1 minute left. Yellow means you'll have 30 seconds left. And red means stop. Your time is up. If you do continue to speak up, I'll interrupt you. The names of the two candidates for Commissioner of Accounts are Commissioner Dylan Moran and Jessica Troisi. Now it is time to hear their 2-minute opening statements. We have drawn lots to determine the order. The first speaker will be Commissioner Moran. So at this point, if you want to, you have 2 minutes, Commissioner Moran, for your statement. And then when you're done, Jessica, it will be your turn.
Thank you, Nancy. I appreciate the introduction. As Nancy said, my name is Dylan Moran. I've been the Commissioner of Accounts for the City of Saratoga Springs for the last 4 years. It's been an absolute pleasure to serve this city. I'm a native born. I've lived almost my entire life in the City of Saratoga Springs. I own a home here. I'm invested in small business here. My family lives here. They themselves are also invested as homeowners and small business owners. This community means everything to me. Over the last several years, I've had the opportunity to spend time with our community members themselves, and also I feel make a contribution to them, unlike anyone who's been in the role before myself. The role of accounts is a broad one, has a lot of different pieces, but to hit on a few. As assessor, I've introduced complete digitization of our assessment records, and that's allowed us to use modern technology to identify gaps where we did not have proper coverage, and now we're driving towards complete fairness within our tax rolls. I've helped our small businesses recover from COVID through passing laws along the lines of our outdoor dining laws, which have gone through a couple iterations, as well as investment in our special events, which we've brought back with a fury. Lastly, I've spent time and have heard that short-term rentals have been a concern. And not only did I take action, but I have intention to continue to take action. We do understand, I think, the nature of the problem. We're going to do things to help limit the ownership from outside interests and, again, still preserve the things that make us special. Homeowners have the right to rent out their homes, and we will always preserve that right. Thank you very much.
Okay, Jessica, it's your turn, and you'll have 2 minutes for your opening remarks.
Uh, Good evening, everybody. and Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Jessica Troisi. I am a lifelong Democrat running for Commissioner of Accounts on the One Saratoga line. I am running for Commissioner of Accounts because I do feel that I am the most qualified and the best person for this position. I moved to Saratoga Springs 32 years ago to pursue my passion for photography. And while raising my children here, I added both designing and general contracting to my resume, first through new construction homes, and more recently, I've been adding in property renovations. These experiences have given me hands on knowledge of project management, contracts, permits, insurance, my ability to work both alongside and cooperatively with everybody while building relationships, fostering respect, and finding common ground are very much at the heart of how I lead and serve. Most recently, I have added student to my list of credentials. This summer, I joined the New York State Assessors Association and I began taking their certification courses to ensure that I'm prepared to serve from day one. Most recently, I attended their fall conference, participating in sessions such as why assessors need to care about the open meetings law and the Freedom of Information law, better known as FOIL. I am running for Commissioner of Accounts because I believe the people of Saratoga Springs deserve city officials that lead with integrity and civility and transparency. I am committing to bringing those values to the Accounts Department. Public service for me is a natural extension of the volunteer work I have long since done with many of our local nonprofit organizations. I am dedicated to giving back to the community that has given me so much.
Thank you. Okay, so now it's time for questions. Candidates, you will have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question. You're not required to respond. You may pass if you wish. Each candidate will be allowed 2 opportunities to request an additional minute during the question and answer session for a rebuttal or to expand on your answer. Please hold up your hand and wait for me to acknowledge you before you begin your extra minute. This can only be done during the Q&A session. It may not be used during the closing remarks. Remember not to interrupt each other. The timers and I will keep track of the number of extra minutes used. Questions will be directed to each candidate in rotation so that each candidate gets a chance to respond first. Feel free to ask me to repeat the question as needed. So let's start. So Jessica, you will be getting the first question,
Okay.
and then we will alternate. So first question, describe your qualifications and experience for this office and explain your reasons for running. How would you be an asset?
Okay. Well, in my work as a general contractor, I need to both manage and work alongside a number of different contractors. There's many different projects, many timelines, and many different personalities going on at one time. I pride myself on fostering a work environment where the people want to come to work and they're proud of the part that they take in the projects. I have a service first leadership style. They know they can always count on me to be hands on, boots on the ground, rather than just a director that takes credit for the job at the end. So,
So you have another minute if,
no, I am.
okay,
I,
okay, good. I didn't see that. Okay, thank you.
I do not
Okay.
talk a lot.
Commissioner Moran, your turn did you need me to repeat it?
Yeah, could you actually repeat that?
Yes.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Describe your qualifications and experience for this office and explain your reasons for running. How would you be an asset?
Sure. Well, again, by background, I have a degree in chemical engineering. Um, by experience, I have a lifetime living in the city of Saratoga Springs. I know what it was like in the 1970s. I know what it was like in the 1980s, et cetera. I've seen the ebbs and flows of our community like no one else who's running for office at this time. Um, and within that, I've also served in the role for 4 years. So I'm glad that Miss Troisi that has shown interest in taking courses. You can only take the courses that are available when they're available. It takes 2.5 years to work through that process. I'm proud to have completed that process as fast as I possibly could. And again, it's what you do when you're in there. So in the case of being an assessor, I've put $150 million on the assessment roll. business, or rather opportunity that was previously unrealized, that lessened the burden on the taxpayer, and again is driving towards fairness. So my background as an engineer and my understanding of data and the application of modern technology and analyzation makes me an excellent choice to continue to be the assessor as well as commissioner of accounts in the city of Saratoga Springs.
Okay. So Commissioner Moran, you'll be the first one on the next question. The Commissioner of Accounts often needs to work closely with the mayor, other commissioners, and other departments to manage permits, records, and public information. How will you build cooperative relationships with other elected officials while maintaining the independence and accountability of your office to the people of this community?
Well, it's actually my sole responsibility to be the custodian of records, to be the city clerk, to be the registrar of vital records, to be the purchasing manager. And so those are actually my assignments and my responsibilities. Oftentimes, people will want or need records, and there's processes in place. The finance department and the accounts department work hand in hand and have well-established relationships and processes that we've improved. In addition, the building department and the assessments department have a very close working relationship. And as we've digitized the assessment side of things, we are branching out and helping the building department bring full digitization to their department in a way that will better serve the community. And a great example would be fostering of building information online, such that the requirements for FOIL are lessened and individuals themselves won't be able to overburden the system that is already busy doing the city's work. Um, and that would finish the question for me as well.
Okay, thank you. Jessica, do you want me to
Can you
repeat?
repeat it? Yes, please.
Yes.
It was a
The
long one.
Commissioner of Accounts often needs to work closely with the mayor, other commissioners, and other departments to manage permits, records, and public information. How will you build cooperative relationships with other elected officials while maintaining the independence and accountability of your office to the people of this community?
Okay. Well, I don't think anyone would agree with everyone on everything, but at my core, I am a team builder. It's who I am. It comes naturally to me. I meet people where they are. I find common ground. I work towards solutions that benefit all Saratogians. I do understand that the sole responsibility does fall to the accounts department for certain things. That does not mean that that information shouldn't be shared with all the commissioners, with the public in general. Uh, it's a legal obligation to respond to our constituents, and I would follow through and intend to do that to the best of my ability.
Okay, thank you. So Jessica, you'll be starting the next question. The Commissioner of Accounts serves the public by managing permits, vital records, and responses to Freedom of Information law requests. How will you ensure that the Commissioner of Accounts office handles FOIL requests, permits, and records ethically, transparently, and without favoritism?
Well, it is the legal obligation of the office to respond to all FOIL requests in a fair and timely fashion. I do intend to uphold the obligations of the office. I recently passed a class on ethics for the assessor, and I also recently attended a fall seminar on FOIL requests. My integrity will never be an issue in or out of office. I will also rely on the trained professionals within City Hall for any guidance on anything that's more complicated.
Thank you. Commissioner Moran, want me to repeat it?
Yeah, please reread
Yes.
that question because you're putting forth the false premise.
The Commissioner of Accounts serves the public by managing permits, vital records, and responses to Freedom of Information law requests. How will you ensure that the Commissioner of Accounts office handles FOIL requests, permits, and records ethically, transparently, and without favoritism?
The responsibility to manage and respond to FOIL requests resides within the mayor's office under the responsibility of the city attorney. So that's just an incorrect question. Not sure how to go on from there. But what I will offer is that the ability for the city to respond to FOIL requests um, has not been it has not been able to be fulfilled because of just an absolute avalanche of requests that have broken the system, and it's been manipulated to try and create issues when issues don't exist. And again, in terms of the things that I do within my office, I operate ethically. Any suggestion that I haven't is defamatory. I work in an international business. I pass ethics courses based on international trade law, uh, laws within the United States relative to trade, and as well as interactions between government and business, because I do work across that bridge. So again, everything I do, I listen to the city attorney. If I'm guilty of anything, it's listening to Tony Izzo.
Thank you. Question number 4, we'll start with the commissioner again. Let's see. Do you believe the city's current system for registering and monitoring short-term rentals is effective, or should alternative systems or vendors be explored?
We're in the process of implementing that right now, so that question's a little bit premature. But we've spent the better part of the last year building this system out. Anyone who's had experience building out a system understands that there's complexity to it. I myself have been involved in the rollout of software in several large matrix organizations, most recently Salesforce.com, which I'm now on my third organization helping to implement. Within that, we are literally going to be turning the system on tomorrow. And with that, start to bring in the registration. So the system itself is still to be tested, but I have the belief that we've put in the time. The team that has worked together with our vendor Granicus, I'm proud of the work that they've done and the detail and the diligence that they put forward. Frankly, we've shown them how their software works. And in doing so, I think that we're going to have a product that will be durable and robust, and I will be proud of the work result.
Thank you. Jessica, do you believe the city's current system for registering and monitoring short-term rentals is effective, or should alternative systems or vendors be explored?
Well, as with any new legislation, I think that modifications are going to be necessary, but we won't really know that until that system is up and running, and we have the data available to make those informed decisions. As the commissioner said, it is not currently up and running. And so the data can't be shared, and revenue projections are coming in, but I don't think the bulk of those have been shared or made public quite yet. I may be wrong on that, not all of it. Maybe some of it has. I do believe the STR legislation should have started much simpler. It's taken a lot longer than it should have because it wasn't simple. On a number of occasions, myself and other members of a group that I formed met with our state legislators and discussed it, and we were all of the opinion that it should have been very simple because the goal at the time was compliance and data collection. I would have liked to have seen it be up and running before this if it had been so simple. That being said, I think we ended up in a good spot with a lot of collaboration. And I'm anxious to see it up and running and to get all of that information and to know where we need to go from here. The registry itself is a good thing. I would have liked to have seen the process be a little bit more transparent, and I'd like to see the data be shared as it comes in. I am very curious myself. We do agree that we do need some registration.
Thank you. Okay. Um, Next question, Jessica.
Now, I'd like to respond if I have one of my
Oh,
minutes.
yep. Timer, you ready? Yep. Okay, go ahead.
So
I'm
just
sorry.
in terms of the notion of transparency, um, I had close to 20 hours of open conversation on this issue with the community, starting with 4 sessions that were between 3 and 4 hours long at the city center. I listened to everybody. That's as transparent as you can get. At the time, I made the statements that we had between 13 and 1,400 short-term rentals operating in the city of Saratoga Springs. That is, in fact, what we have in the city of Saratoga Springs. Um, we have probably between 400 that are operated by what we will fall into the primary residential category, and about 900, which I would attribute to concentrated interest ownership, out of town ownership, not what homes are meant for. And that's an area where I absolutely believe we need to do further legislation. But when we have the data, that will be the appropriate time to make those judgments.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Jessica, please describe your experience managing people. How will the demands of the accounts commissioner position call on your management skills?
That's very similar to your first question. I am a general contractor by trade. So I lead by doing with. I firmly believe in boots on the ground, and giving people the opportunity to learn and grow and give them the proper credit where credit is due. And those skills, I think, translate very well into managing a department as well as a crew of construction of a home. And what was the rest of that? I'm sorry.
It was and how will the position call on your management skills? And then please describe your experience managing people.
Okay, well, I guess I answered that all then.
Yeah, I think you got it. Thank you. Commissioner Moran?
Thank you. Well, in my background, I have managed teams of various sizes and had responsibility for small groups and groups as large as 60 to 70, P&L sizes from individual sites of a couple $1 million up through a couple $100 million. So the work that we do in the city of Saratoga Springs is meaningful. We are responsible for the management of over $6 billion in real estate. And so I intimately work with each of our departments. As assessor, I am intimately involved at the work that happens there. I'm a salesman by trade. I know the inside and outs of municipal purchasing. I work with our purchasing manager. I'm a trained risk and safety manager. I work directly with our director of risk and safety. And on top of that, as a small business owner, I've been through the licensing and understand what it takes to work within the city. And I have worked to streamline the process for small businesses to interact with the city. My leadership style is absolutely lead from the front. My team understands that. And with leadership comes responsibility. So I've had to make the choice to change people within the department. And I've done so with care, and I've done so because it was the right thing to do for the department. And again, the city can count on me to do the right thing all the time and do what is right for the taxpayer.
Thank you. Commissioner Moran, next question. If you received a $1 million grant to use for the city any way you wanted, what would you do with it and why?
Well, first thing, not to sound off, but $1 million is not a lot of money today. It does not go a long way, and I'll just give you an example. We recently approved a couple of labor agreements. Well, that commitment alone meant a $1.8 million change in what we needed for the tax levy from one year to the next. So if I were to look at $1 million, I would look at a short-term problem that we currently have, and that would be facilitation of the payment for the operation of the shelter until we did have a long-term solution in place. We have a moral obligation to stand up where the county has not. I will not back down from the challenge that we have met by standing that shelter up. When I took office, we had people living and dying in a parking garage. Um, I spent time feeding those people prior to taking office. I saw what they went through, and I will never allow them to have that happen again. And us as a community, we're measured by the outside by how we treat people. We're a tourism city who needs to have the right reputation because we are a giving community, and leading with love is what we need to do on this issue. And so that's where I would place the money.
Thank you. Jessica, if you received $1 million grant to use for the city any way you wanted, what would you do and why?
Well, it's a very simple answer for me. In part, I agree with Commissioner Moran, but for me, it would be to refund everything that we took out of our budget for the nonprofits. I volunteer for a large number of them, and it's at the heart of who I am. And uh, let's see, not just the shelters of Saratoga, Rise, um, the senior center, Franklin Community Center, a lot of them were cut, and that would probably take up just about that whole million. I think it was 870,000, if I recall, was the number, the total number of nonprofit funding that is at risk of not being in this year's budget.
Thank you. Let's see, next one, Jessica. How well is our community meeting the needs of low-income residents, and what more, if anything, needs to be done?
Well, in terms of our low-income residents, housing affordability is a big issue. It's not something that we're going to solve overnight, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be a regional leader on the subject. The demand for housing in Saratoga is so great that simply adding more housing is not going to make the everything more affordable. It's going to take all of the commissioners and the mayor working together. When elected, I would work to promote the infill of the urban core and support zoning for denser housing, to help create incentives to encourage all of our large scale housing developments to contain a percentage of affordable homes. Um, to me, that is our biggest issue with our lower income is our housing. We need to have places for people to live that work here.
Thank you.
We've come a long ways, but there is a lot more to do.
Commissioner Moran, how well is our community meeting the needs of low-income residents, and what more, if anything, needs to be done?
Well, there's a couple ways to look at that. Um, if we were to look at it from a strict measurement scale, and the Department of Housing and Urban Development, we do well by what one would consider the lower income residents of the city of Saratoga Springs. And what do I mean by that? We have more than twice the housing that's recommended, and it's great. We still have money that needs to be invested in the rehabilitation of Jefferson and in Jefferson Terrace. But in general, I think the housing needs are met. Where we fall down is um, the people who actually work in the economy here can't afford to live here. And so one of the first things that I did, I changed the laws to change the comprehensive plan and also the zoning plan to allow us to build 220 units of workforce housing. I didn't talk about it, I did it. Um, I was able to get something that had failed unanimously at the planning board to be passed unanimously by the city council and the planning board. And we are lined up to get final funding from the state. And we will have for the next 30 years housing for people who make between $60,000 and $110,000 a year. People who work in the fire station, who work in the fire department or police department, who work in the hospital, who teach, who work at Global Foundries. We need places for those people to live.
Thank you. Commissioner
I'd
Moran,
like to
next.
add one more minute to that, if I
Okay,
may.
you want to add one? Go ahead.
Yeah. If 10% of our housing stock wasn't taken up by out-of-town ownership of short-term rentals, we'd have more homes for people to live in. We'd have more rentals for people to live in. So the idea that inserting more units into the community wouldn't have a downward effect on affordability, I completely reject. If there were more homes for sale, they'd be less expensive. So that's absolutely something that I'm trying to work on. I've also begun work on a project for accessory dwelling units, whereby I'm going to bring forward a tax abatement that will help people build uh, additional density on their properties that could afford them the ability to have a child who can't afford to live in the city anymore, live in an apartment on their property, or in the case of an aging in place population, they can move to a smaller residence and have their children's families move into their homes, thereby introducing the next generation of Saratogians. So for me, those are the types of things that I am in action doing.
Thank you. Next question, Commissioner Moran. How will you ensure Saratoga Springs is prepared for the growing impacts of climate change?
Well, unfortunately, we can't wish and think about it anymore. And I, as an engineer who's been involved in the field of water for most of my career, um, I'm past the point of thinking we can do something about it. We have to get ready for it now. And so the hardening of our infrastructure systems needs to be a priority for our city. We have a 18th century community in a lot of ways on the inner core. We have stormwater systems that were built 150 years ago to a standard that's even older. So we cannot handle the weather as is presently presented. There are large areas in Geyser Crest that flood when we get strong storms. So for me, we need to be real about the investment that we need to make in subgrade infrastructure. Building buildings at this point in time is not something we can afford. We have to ensure proper stormwater management, proper sewerage, and proper water for all of our constituents, because without that, we have absolutely nothing. Those are the base essentials to the survival of people, and frankly, the things that give our home value. And so, spending money, making that difficult choice, and stick the shovel in the ground and get to work.
Thank you. Jessica, how will you ensure Saratoga Springs is prepared for the growing impacts of climate change?
Well, climate resiliency it can be accomplished through protecting and enhancing our green infrastructure. Things like our stormwater and management and water and air quality are improved by that. Wetlands, parks, forests, we need to protect those for those reasons. It's very difficult to fix those things via the gray type infrastructure between pipes and things. So we need to protect our green belt, add tree replacement, um, and to projects that include tree removal. And those are the best ways for us to financially and environmentally protect our city from climate change that, as Commissioner Moran said, is really already here.
Thank you. Jessica, next question. How will you learn what's on the minds of residents?
Um, I would have an open door policy for sure. I would want people to come in and talk to me. I would like to see any questions or comments that are submitted online prior to city council meetings actually read at council meetings. I know that they drag on sometimes, but I do believe voices need to be heard, and not everybody is able to make it all the time. We have residents who have a very difficult time and they still get there, but there should be a means for people's voices to be heard no matter what. But an open door policy would be the most important to me, listening to people and taking their opinions and considerations into account, both my constituents and other members of City Hall.
Thank you. Commissioner Moran, how would you learn what's on the mind of residents?
Well, there's a couple different ways. The first one I would say is I've operated with an open door policy. There's not a single person who's ever sought to sit down with me who I've not sat down with, including Miss Tracy. So, you know, problems get solved talking. That's what I do for a living. I enjoy meeting with people of all walks of life. I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner, and so I treat every situation as an opportunity. At the same time, our constituents live out in their homes. And so for the last 6 years, I've dedicated myself to knocking on doors and speaking with people. The election that I ran in before I took this office, I knocked on over 7,000 doors and talked to over 3,300 people. I've already knocked over 1,000 doors in the Geyser Crest area alone, talking about the short-term rental issue. So I get direct feedback by putting the effort in, by showing the consideration, and always being available. And so again, with that, I serve the people. When people watch a city council meeting, they know that the person sitting to the left represents them. Um, we started in the public housing. We've lived a very meager life. We're successful because of the things that this city made opportune for us. And I'm here to make sure that the same path can be walked by future generations of Saratogians.
Thank you. Okay, I think we got last question. We'll start with Commissioner Moran. What are the priority issues facing our community and how would you address them if elected?
So I think there are a couple priorities. One, I think there's a lot of uncertainty coming from the federal government right now. And earlier, the issue of non-for-profits was brought forward. I'm on record as having said we need to do more, not less. I was as shocked as everyone else when the contingency budget was brought out. But the fact of the matter is, this is the fourth budget season that I've been through. I understand how the process works. It is absolutely unhelpful for the Republican Party, which Ms. Teresi is running with, to attack people and weaponize issues like this. The fact of the matter is these non-for-profits are going to be adequately funded, but we're going to have the conversations we need to have because other people on the city council prioritize things that we do not need. And at this time, we cannot afford to build buildings. We have to focus on the commitments we've made to our employees, to the labor contracts that we've just committed ourselves to, and the ones that we are going to have to negotiate in the next 2 years. We have a significant contribution that we have to make to the retirement of our workers, and that alone increased $1 million year over year. So we need to be judicious in the use of our money, and we need to be mindful of what we ask from the taxpayers.
Thank you. Jessica, what are the priority issues facing our community and how would you address them if elected?
Well, for starters, I think that we can all agree that there are people in both parties that are behaving abhorrently right now. Running with the Republican endorsement on the One Saratoga line, it was, I believe truly that I'm the right person for the job, and I wasn't willing to just step aside and say, oh, okay. That being said, my priorities are addressing affordability, getting services to our unhoused population, and some helping with the long-term financial planning for the city. I believe that our citizens of Saratoga Springs do deserve city officials that lead with integrity and civility and transparency. I think that as a city, we have a number of issues, and one of them is trust. And I see the responsibilities of this role as the best avenue to work on these issues.
Thank you. Okay, so that, Commissioner Moran, but you already
What?
had your,
Okay, thank you.
well, it's time. Well, so it's time for closing statements. You'll have 1 minute and we're going to start with you, Commissioner Moran.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate again the opportunity to participate in this conversation and exchange ideas. What I said I meant, and what I've done, I've said prior. The promises I made over the first 4 years of my tenure, I've delivered on those promises, and I continue to intend to work hard for the city of Saratoga Springs, from investing into our small business economy, from broadening the impact that special events can bring to the city of Saratoga Springs and the surrounding area, to focusing on the strength and quality needed within our neighborhoods to protect them from outside invading forces, which frankly are happening in areas across the city. And I will demonstrate that for everybody tomorrow at the city council meeting. Short-term rentals are a problem. They've been a problem for a while, and I'm the first person that stood up for the citizens who've quietly been suffering. And I'm proud to have done that, and you can count on me to continue to do that. And again, I ask for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica, next.
Uh, Thank you. I'm running for Commissioner of Accounts because I am the best person for this position. When elected, I will bring integrity, accountability, and respect back into the Accounts Department. I pledge to work collaboratively with every member of City Hall, and I will foster an atmosphere of civility and cooperation. I intend on focusing on our common ground, on shared goals, and I will help build us a stronger, more unified Saratoga Springs for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank the candidates for participating in this event and helping to educate the voters. I also want to thank the public for submitting questions and all the viewers who have taken the time to watch this event and learn about the candidates. Don't forget to vote. Early voting starts this Saturday, October 25th, and goes through Sunday, November 2nd. The hours are Monday and Wednesday, 12 to 8. All the other days are 9 to 5. There's various locations within Saratoga County that you can, and I'll get to where you can find those locations. Election day is Tuesday, November 4th. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. You can find your voting location by calling the Board of Elections of Saratoga County or going on their website or checking out the league's vote411.org.